Hello, I'm Dr. Jeff Kingsley, and this is another edition of Riding in Cars with Researchers. Today we're interviewing Dr. Stephen Leichter. Dr. Leichter is an old friend of mine. In fact, he was a teacher of mine, and he's been doing research for years and years and years. Dr. Leichter, tell the audience a little bit about your background.
Well, I've been doing this a long time. I graduated medical school in 1970, and I'm an endocrinologist. I always wanted to be an endocrinologist. I was a strange kid. I wanted to be an endocrinologist when I was 5 years old.
Did you really?
Yeah. Very funny story, but I really did.
Huh.
And that's what I did, and it was, I don't know, I think that God had three callings for me, and one of them was that, because I've enjoyed it more and more every day that I do. And research to me is a part of that, especially as an endocrinologist, because as most people know, endocrinology is a very contemplative specialty of medicine. And one of the key points to be an endocrinologist, I think, and to do a good job for your patients is to try to keep your skills and knowledge at the highest level possible. And for me, that means having an understanding of the latest developments, the latest concepts, the latest directions that are going in my area of medicine. And research has always been, for me, a way of doing that. Because when you do research, it's not only the process, the technical process of doing it, but it's the fact that you have to become very knowledgeable about the area you're doing research in. You learn about the specific questions that research is going to investigate, and that helps you to understand perhaps a little more about what the more broad or general questions are associated with that. So it's been, for me, something that has helped expand my knowledge base, I think keep my skills up to date, and I also enjoy answering questions.
Makes sense. How long ago did you first get involved in research?
I published my first paper in research, I think, in 1974.
1974. So
73 or 74.
Quite a bit of research experience over that time.
Yeah, we published quite a lot of papers, but and then again, I've done, of course, clinical trials that I'm doing now where you don't actually get your name on the paper.
Not always.
Well, but you do sometimes.
Yes.
But it's just, for me, it's still the process of doing it and expanding my knowledge base.
Are there other reasons you do it? You do research because it expands your knowledge base. Why else? Why would you do it for this many decades?
Well, for me, it's just a whole part of the process of being an endocrinologist. I think endocrinology is one of the most contemplative areas of medicine, as I said, and that means that you have to be very knowledgeable about the different questions that are coming up in it, how concepts in the different areas of endocrinology are changing, and research for me is one way to participate in keeping up to date in that knowledge.
I agree. That's something that I've said too. I feel that research should be part of being a doctor. It enhances who you are as a physician. It enhances your knowledge. It should be part and parcel. Everyone should participate in research, in my opinion.
And I think one other thing it does for me is it allows me to develop the skills I need to be able to judge published research and claims that folks may be making about treatments in as objective and analytical a way as possible.
Absolutely
for me.
true.
I think it helps those skills.
So what has changed over the years? How has research changed?
You know, it really hasn't changed a lot for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think the processes that you should have in research have become more formalized.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's been a greater emphasis on patient safety, on patient rights, on the responsibilities that an investigator takes on when he asks a patient to be a part of the research process. And for me, I think that's all good, not only because we're protecting people and making sure that they have the best experience they can in participating in research, but I think it also protects me. I think it protects the staff.
Sure it does.
And anytime I have a monitor call me up and say, you know, I don't think you did this right, we want you to develop more paperwork about this situation, make sure it's clear as to what you did. And they always think I'm going to become upset about that. And the actual truth is, I think that they're on my side.
Right.
Because they are making me become more detailed in considering the position of the patient and the process of doing the research on that patient. I think they're making that more focused than I had perhaps done it.
What still needs to change? If you had a magic wand and you could make research better, what would that look like? What would you like to see changed?
I think sometimes there are so many different groups involved in one research project that it becomes too many hands in the broth.
Right.
And you start getting all kinds of urgent demands for details or for this documentation or this thing changing that may not always be appropriate. We had one project that we're doing now where there were 4 different groups involved in managing this research project. And a patient situation came up where there was a question of, was this an adverse event? Did we report the adverse event correctly? And I think that the decision that was made by the research sponsor fulfills the notion that if you give something to an academic committee, they'll prove that a camel is a horse made by an academic committee. So that became very cumbersome, but I understood their position. They wanted to make sure that everybody, including us and the patient, were protected.
But despite all the trials and tribulations, you still do it. You're still passionate about research.
Oh,
You've never lost that.
Absolutely. I think that I think there are a number of things I've done that have kept me young.
Yeah.
And kept me active and kept me doing this, and hopefully I'm as skilled as I ever was, and research is one of them.
Beautiful. Okay. Thank you very much. Pleasure talking with you. Take care.